look at everything that she has going on as far as her books, holistic teas, and all that beautifulness there. I love to hear her speak and give, like she's very inspirational. I love it. Our next guest is in the restroom. So I'm gonna go to Ms. Tamisha Thomas, founder of Too Much TV Youth Community Foundation. Wait, hold on. Because this was going dead. Oh, yeah, I put it right there. Which one do you want to pull up first?
Let's pull up the videos, video.
This one?
GU, that was one of the greatest days of my life.
The faculty at SGU.
This is WEUP Radio. It is one of maybe a handful of owned and operated radio stations in the entire country.
It was family. It was all about family, and it was all about if you want this to happen, you need to make it happen. It was a husband and wife owned station. Mr. Bass and Dr. Virginia Caples, they owned it. They took it from the Garretts. They bought it from the Garretts, rather.
Black owners who came up here from Birmingham with a little trailer, with radio equipment and an idea to build this station. After he did that, he started to work his plan to be the voice of the black community. Everything you see out here, Mr. Garrett built. A man who didn't finish high school, but he had the technical know-how to put all this stuff together. The owners lived up here.
Say my name, hush your mouth. It's like a condo.
Full apartment. Kitchen back there.
That's a mixed-use development.
You can see how
It's well constructed. I can look at the wood. They don't use 2x8s like that anymore.
wood. And he also was instrumental in helping to get black radio to be able to broadcast 24 hours a day. He changed the law. Went to Congress, got them to change the law so that this station could broadcast 24 hours a day. And every black-owned radio station was able to do that after he went to Congress and got that done.
It was a community-based station, and everybody knew We Up. When I first got there, I found out about the slogan that they had when the Garretts had it. We Up is you. I could not stand that slogan. It was so broken English. But as I got out in sales, I realized that is what people knew We Up as. So it was community-based, it was family, and everybody that worked there worked together as a unit, because in order to get things done, that's what we had to do.
What was your reason for getting?
I wanted to own.
That was it.
Yeah, because they were not operating it the way I would operate.
Okay.
You agree?
I agree. This morning, how you guys doing today? My name is Tamisha Thomas, and you guys got an opportunity to watch my mentor. When I went to see Mr. Batts, he was actually in the early stages of dementia. So when he was sitting there, he was telling his story of how his father was an entrepreneur during the times of segregation. And it is profound for me because when I came in here, I had a lot of stuff to do today. And so I was like, I don't even know what I'm gonna speak on. And I said, well, everybody's using this word community. So let me pull up what my community was. And my heart is kind of broken because that's Black. I took my daughter to an event last week and she was like, this is Black excellence. It was a backyard event where some people were painting a mural on their backyard, and it was a mural about Africa. And they were some rich Black folks, real rich Black folks. And in the backyard, they done paid they commissioned to have their backyard painted with the mural. It cost them about $5,000-6,000. They didn't even know I was coming. That was another $500-600. Then the caterer came in. That was another couple of hundred. And that's kind of how I grew up, especially with cameras. I'm in a lot of spaces. And Mr. Batts, he bought the station from Mr. Garrett. So the first couple that was there, Mr. Garrett came in from Birmingham, Alabama, and he built that station that you saw with his own hands. He couldn't read. Wow. And so I said today when I came in, I got a text that Yvonne had passed away. That was the lady who does the traffic in the station. Mr. Batts now has dementia, and that station now is up for grabs. Nobody comes into that station. It's up for Steve, who you saw there. Everything now is on automation. And so my point here today is that we're in some transitional times. This is the largest transference of wealth that we're about to see in this country. Are we prepared for it? Are we prepared for it? That's a real question. And why is it a real question? Because used to be in segregation, you couldn't go nowhere but to the back house business streets. Come on. You couldn't go nowhere but to the back house business streets. We had communities. We had, I think somebody talked about mama, grandma, Madia, holding down those forces. Because I get called in to do video production for our community all the time. I recently did a project in Oberlin to talk about the Oberlin Project and how that was the largest African-American community in Raleigh that's now being gentrified. So we used to have these pockets of places. What you just saw there was part of the Chitlin radio market. Y'all ever heard that? Yes. The Chitlin circuit. And it always pained us to hear the Chitlin circuit because Mr. Batts was the 10th most powerful man in Huntsville. That man sitting right down that sofa. Oh, wow. Not only did he own an insurance agency, he also owned the radio station. And the reason he owned the radio station was because he bought it from the Garretts in town, and because he sold insurance to the community, he was the only Black man that they could sell it to. We had enough money to buy it. So we always kind of felt like his hobby. We were his hobby because he made money in insurance. And we were like, did Mr. Batts really want to really make this radio station go anywhere? He had a payroll of the radio station, about 20 people. And the insurance company, he had his agents, his son, on it, and maybe a bookkeeper. Bookkeeper kept for both the radio station and ourselves. But this is the transference of wealth in this community. And let me give you a secret. They're going to close our schools. They will shut them down. I have been working with colleges. And I know a lot of HBCUs are not going to make it. I know that. How do I know? Because you look at retention rates. You look at what the graduates are doing once they graduate. Yeah. And then my son just recently went to A&T. I had him in a space where they were looking for A&T students, engineering students. And I was like, well, I got some Shaw students. And the man looked at me with disgust. Them liberal arts students, right? What can they do? I'm just talking real talk. I'm not making this up. I've been in communities. So my point today is about community. What is community? And will our children get to really, really know community? What's going to happen happened when they shut down majority of the schools because AI, we won't need only a third of the workforce?
Yeah.
What happens? What happens when some more of our HBCUs continue to shut down? About 10 years ago, we went to somewhere in Tennessee, and we went to HBCU that was on the brick. I forgot the name of the school, and they had the kids running the university. Kittrell, and I think that's not that far outside of Raleigh, is no longer with us. So my point today is, we talked about circulation of money, we've talked about grant writing, we talked about community. We see young people here that have visions to be able to not work till they're 60 years old. What is our position in community? What does that look like? Mr. Bax, his position was to employ African Americans. He's sitting at home right now with dementia. People wondering who's gonna run this radio station. I talked to Christine, the woman who's in the video. I talked to her this morning. I was coming in, and she was on the phone. I was like, I'll let you go. We were talking because Yvonne had passed away. And I was like, this is history. That radio station actually changed FCC regulations so that Black people could broadcast 24 hours a day. Do you know why we couldn't broadcast 24 hours a day prior to 1960s until Mr. Garrett changed the radio station?
Because of segregation.
Because of segregation and because they would lynch you.
Oh, wow.
Lynch you. The last thing they ever wanted you to do was to get on the radio and talk about the lynching that went down after, and in Alabama they had a sundown rule. After 2 o'clock they closed the banks. Certain part, my father lives right now in Owassa, Alabama. My family owns the whole county. We own over 100 acres of land. We got rivers and lakes, and they don't even know we go to the library. My nephew's like, we're going fishing. I'm like, ain't no lakes around here. My nephew's like, yes, do, it's all on our land. I'm like, quiet, don't tell nobody. Should be quiet. Secret. And so I'm saying this to say, in the largest transference of wealth, how well do we work together?
That's good. Great.
How well do we work together?
Good. Great.
Could it be greater?
Yes. Yes.
How well do we reach out to each other? How well do we stand in the gap for each other? How well do we support each other?
Not enough.
Not enough. We used to have to because of those lynching rules and that got to be home by 2 o'clock, or you didn't have advantages or resources outside of our community. Now we do. We do have resources outside of our community. But Mr. Bax, he knew that the position was to be able to employ black, to circulate for blacks. There's another video. And the second one. I just want to put that on your mind, community, how well we work together. We're going to go to our second video. I think it's it was 1 year I went in and I wanted to commemorate the station's history. And when I went upstairs, Mr. Garrett, the owner before Mr. Bax, had all those pictures, like tons and tons and tons of pictures of what the radio station used to do. And Mr. Garrett was truly a community man. He was such a community man that I would find pictures of Sunbeam Radio, just a sponsor, right? in order to advertise on his radio station, oh no, you're gonna come and bring bread for our community. That's the kind of man he was. I came across his vision upstairs where you saw Steve Murray, and that was my business consultant, doctor. They were upstairs. And he lived upstairs with his wife before they eventually moved outside the radio station. And he had a bunch of nephews. I mean, his wife never had any children. And I think someone spoke earlier about having everybody in your business. I kind of dated one of his nephews. I did. Vincent and his uncles would wear the big fly coats, like the jocks would have big mink coats. You know what I mean? These are men walking around town in mink coats. You know, just let you know the aristocracy of who they were within the community. And Miss Garrett decided that her nephews were not astute enough to be able to handle the radio station that she needed to sell it. She wasn't gonna leave with family members because she knew that they would not maintain the radio station the same way a businessman would. So I just want to kind of give you that backstory about WP radio, how it changed FCC regulations because of lynching rules. And now Huntsville is the #1 market in Alabama because that's where all the money is.
It's nice.
Yeah. They're going through gentrification as well. And the reason that what made WP such a big plus on this Chitlin radio market was because it had 3 HBCUs there. North Carolina like to say that they are the #1 HBCUs. That is not true. It is Alabama. You guys have the most students, but because we also have community colleges, trade schools, 2-year colleges as a part of our systems, Alabama is the #1 place for HBCUs. And that is tremendous for communities because what it does is educates our people, and it allows us to put allows us to create a skilled workforce where we are. So Alabama has a very elite population of African American people, a lot like North Carolina. And when I got into the history of the community, when Coretta Scott King needed support, one of the places that she came to was Raleigh, was this area, because they had a community connection. So I want to talk about community today. I want to talk about the elements of a community. And the first thing that a good community must have is shared identity. Can somebody tell me what a shared identity is? What you think it is? Yes, sir.
Identity that you both share.
That you both share. And who is both? You and the people that you're working with. That could be, it could be geography, it could be culture, it could be interests, or it could be goals. But in order to have a community, you must have a shared identity. And why is this important? Because if you don't have a community, what do you have? And you have a support. You have a backup. The second thing you must have in a community is communication. Can somebody tell me what communication?
To be able to talk.
To be able to talk.
Another person.
Through face-to-face interaction, yes ma'am. Social media, telephone, platforms, but you need to be able to communicate. Be able to discuss what's going on in the organization, discuss what's going on in the community, be able to discuss what's going on so that you're able to strategize and be able to understand what's working right. The next thing you need in a community is mutual support. Can somebody tell me what mutual support is?
Support me to use pay bills.
Somebody pay bills? Well, support, yeah. That's a good support. Members help each other emotionally, financially, financially or practically. So she knows pay the bills. That's right. And a community must also have shared values. Communities typically have shared values or norms that guide behavior and decision making within the group. How are decisions going to get made? Shared values. Do you value the same thing? If you value two different things, that's going to lead to conflict, and somebody's going to have to leave the group. 5, sense of belonging. You got to be able to feel like you belong with the people that you are working with. 6, leadership. Communities often have leaders or organizers who help guide activities, make decisions, and represent the community's interests. WEP, the radio station within the marketplace, was a huge leadership. There were several gatekeepers to the community. Education is one. The church is another. Radio is one of our largest leadership pieces. 9 times out of 10, when you're working with kids that don't want to listen, that's because they're listening to the radio or listening to their iPods. That other piece that is feeding their soul. Another thing you need in the community is shared spaces. Physically or virtually spaces where community members can gather, interact, and engage with each other are important for fostering connections. Nowadays, it's so very easy for us to be able to get into a shared space online, but you definitely need a shared space so that you can come together, plan, and get things taken care of. 1 second, guys. 2 more minutes. Collaboration is another aspect of community. Communities thrive on collaboration and collective action, where members work together towards common goals or interests. Today, WEP still holds the insurance for Tyler Perry Studios. Because Tyler Perry, I worked there in 2000. Tyler Perry came to that market. That's how people launched their careers. They came to WEP. Beyonce was shaking it and dropping it at Alabama A&M when she was a part of Destiny's Child. So when we're talking about WEP Radio, we're talking about a huge piece of legacy in our community. A collaboration. Communities strive on collaboration and collective action where members work together towards common goals or interests. 9, diversity and inclusion. Embracing diversity and inclusivity within a community ensures that different perspectives and experiences are valued and represented. And 10, traditions and rituals. Many communities have traditions, rituals, or shared experiences that strengthen bonds and provide a sense of community over time. I was called in to do some work with the civil rights, with Center for Community Change, and they are a group of people that sponsor individuals to make collective action as far as policy is concerned. And they actually studied what we did during the civil rights movement. And when we got together, it was like, come on now, we got to sing a song. It was like, where y'all getting this from? It was like, well, back in the day, when they gathered together, they sang a song. Yep. So they actually had it down to a science that they would begin those civil rights marches, movements. You saw Martin Luther King speak, they began singing an old Negro spiritual, 9 times out of 10, that would go together, tap together. You couldn't even understand what it meant, but that collective voice would raise up and tell people how to get free. So I felt like community was something that we have to talk about. I wanted to share with you guys the community that I came from, that has me with all of this media equipment, why I feel it's important, because I was raised up in a space where African Americans knew the importance of being able to own our image, and I hope you've enjoyed me bringing my community with you today.
Thank you so much, Ms. Tamisha Thomas, for that history and so much more. Next,